Welcome to Connecting Minds, Strengthening Communities, a virtual series presented by Arizona Youth Partnership. Every month, we bring together experts, community leaders, and partners to discuss the critical issues impacting youth, families, and communities across Arizona. Through meaningful conversations, expert insights, and real-world solutions, we aim to empower parents, caregivers, and community members with the knowledge and tools to support the next generation. Thank you for joining us today. If you're watching live, we encourage you to engage in the conversation using the chat. If you can't stay for the entire session, don't worry. This recording will be available on our website and social media for you to watch anytime. Now let's dive into today's discussion.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to Connecting Minds, Strengthening Communities, an initiative of Arizona Youth Partnership. My name is Gori Gladish, and I serve as the CEO at AZYP. At AZYP, our mission is to empower youth to harness their strengths to live healthy and purposeful lives. And at AZYP, we know that every youth has inherent strengths just waiting to shine, and our team guides youth to discover and harness these qualities, giving them the tools, confidence, and authority to make decisions. So in a nutshell, our organization empowers youth to take charge of their future. Today, we are diving into youth friendships and how social media has an influence on this realm of their lives. You know, we do know that social media plays a huge role in shaping youth's friendships, offering opportunities for connections, but also posing some risks like cyberbullying and exposure to other harmful influences. So I'm so thrilled to invite back to Connecting Minds, Strengthening Communities, our partners at Childhelp, to talk about how we can foster safe, positive online interactions for young people. Joining me from the awesome team at Childhelp is Kacie Passamonte. Kacie is the Prevention Operations and Support Manager at Childhelp, where she helps lead child abuse prevention efforts through education, training, and curriculum development. With over 20 years of experience working with youth as an educator, advocate, and coach, Kacie brings a deep understanding of the challenges young people face today. She does lead the development of Childhelp's Speak Up, Be Safe for Athletes curriculum, and she advised on the newest module of their Staying Safe from Online Harm curricula. It's so great that they're doing this work to share with the community. Kacie regularly facilitates student work groups, trains educators, and supports ongoing child safety curriculum evolution. She holds a master's in education with a focus on applied behavior analysis and has a background in both general and special education. Outside of her professional work, she's a certified personal trainer and high school softball coach. She's very passionate about building youth resilience both on and off the field. So thank you, Kacie. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
All right. So I always like to start off with this question. Why is this work important to you?
This work is important to me. I have always worked with kids. I was a teacher for over 12 years before I moved into the field of child protection. And it's always been a passion of mine to empower kids, to have a voice, to know how to protect themselves, to really feel that they're safe in this world. It's a child who went through things that we hope children never go through. It's really brought me to a place where I want to make sure that that doesn't happen to as many kids as we can protect. So it's always just been a drive of mine to make sure kids have a voice, they feel empowered, they feel safe to go to their safe adults and always get the help and support that they need to be the best version of themselves.
Oh, that's great. We like to call them trusted adults here at Arizona Youth Partnership, but safe adults is, it's the same tone and same tone. So that's great. Let's go ahead and jump into our questions. How does social media positively influence youth friendships? And what are some examples of healthy online interactions that Childhelp promotes?
So there's so many ways that social media encourages positive interactions. We know there's the big scary stuff, but there's good parts of it too. So ways that we see positive interactions for kiddos is, they have the emotional support and expression within limitations. So this is an outlet for them to go and be able to express themselves, to reach out to people that they might not otherwise be able to talk to, other friends, long distance friends, all of those things. gives them, the ability to connect in other ways that they may not otherwise be able to. It allows them to have shared experiences, so they can, go on there and be a part of a community to celebrate milestones. Kids love to post about the exciting things happening in their lives. So that's another outlet that's of this digital age that allows them the ability to do so in that way. There's also intentional and appropriate contact that can help kids feel seen, understood, and supported. So it's, sometimes talking to mom and dad or safe or trusted adults doesn't always feel like the best, most safe thing that they can do. So there's another place for them to go and be able to connect and not only have the support of their friends, but also peer support groups, other different ways that they can get information that they need.
Right. Yeah. I know there's like so many online groups to join. I feel like there's an online group for everything, and just making sure like they're the right groups to join for youth and make sure they're safe, they're getting good information. So yes.
Exactly.
So, I think trusted adults and parents and caregivers automatically think first and foremost, and I'll speak for myself in this way, like cyberbullying, right? But in addition to cyberbullying, what are some other common ways cyberbullying and other other online safety concerns show on social media platforms? And how can youth specifically recognize when it's happening to them or to maybe one of their friends?
Yeah, so cyberbullying has really become the big issue that we're dealing with in this day and age. Whereas when we were in school, it was face-to-face bullying that was occurring, and now kids are able to hide behind a screen, and the cyberbullying has really become a real big issue. In addition to the cyberbullying that we're seeing, there's also things like harassment, threats, anything that they wouldn't normally say face-to-face, they can hide behind a screen and say it. Then when we get into the AI stuff, that's where it can get real scary. And we see a lot of things like catfishing, people taking AI and making deepfake photos or inappropriate photos from regular photos. We have sextortion, online exploitation. So there's just a lot that can go on in the big world of the internet, that it's really important that we teach them the skills to safeguard themselves, so they don't fall victim to those things.
Yeah, you definitely mentioned some like, I don't even know if they're like up and coming. I'm sure they've been around, like the deep fakes and the AI. Like we all know, like that is starting to become a hot topic that maybe youth are not learning about, and maybe adults don't know about. So
Yes, definitely.
can you share tips from Childhelp on how young people can build genuine friendships online while avoiding superficial or harmful connections? Speaking of AI, I did hear about that, like AI generated friendships and
Yes.
relationships.
Yeah. And that's kind of where we need to be really careful with it, because AI is a tool. It's not going anywhere. So we can run from it, or we can learn how to use it as a tool. I teach at ASU also, and that's something we've learned there is like the kids are going to use it. So we need to teach them how to use it correctly. So with Childhelp, we have 5 critical messages that we encourage kids to understand when it comes to being online and safety online. So one is helping prevent unsafe things from happening. So being aware, recognizing issues, paying attention to that intuition. We always push kids, listen to your intuition, to your gut. If something feels off, it probably is. And go talk to a safe adult, somebody that you trust about it, just to get another voice about it. So that's kind of the first one, is help prevent these things from happening by being aware and being safe. Respecting yourself and others. So that goes into the friendships online, is having a good digital footprint and making sure that we're always putting out things that are respectful, and knowing that it's going to be out there, it's going to live out there, and you don't want to be getting a job 20 years down the road and have somebody pull this up and see it. So respecting yourself and others, being empathetic, seeing that people are still people, even if it's behind a screen. Understanding too that it's never their fault. If something bad happens online, which it does, it's never their fault. We all make mistakes, and there's always a way to mediate the situation. So we really encourage kids. That's where we see when this AI stuff happens or extortion happens, they shut down and feel so afraid and embarrassed that they don't want to go get help. So we always encourage, it's never ever your fault, and there's always help available.
Yeah.
I said you can always tell if something feels off or uncomfortable. It's never too late to get help. So that's something we really push for them too. And that there's always help available. So if something happens, or there's maybe a connection that you thought was appropriate and it turns out not to be, there's always help available. You can always shut it down. Just really recognizing those red flags and being able to navigate what to do if and when those things happen.
Yeah. I mean, there's always help available. I just want to like reiterate that yes, we're all learning. Even as adults, we're learning too, right? And um, there's always help available, and there's resources out there, and there's people they can trust to go to work through whatever has happened. Yeah.
Exactly.
We care about so much about mental health for youth too. I know Childhelp does. We do at Arizona Youth Partnership, and I know that's all part of that as well.
Definitely.
Um, what threats, like online predators or misinformation, should youth be aware of when forming relationships through social media?
So this is a good one. This goes really into the red flags that we're talking about. So a lot of what we're seeing with these online predators is they will really it's really the same scenario every time. So there will be urgency, there will be isolation, there will usually be some sort of demand, and the way we see it starting is oftentimes in gaming, for example, like kids are playing Roblox. Somebody, I mean, that's open to anybody. So there's adults that can go in there and be playing on these things. Often they will start in a gaming system and then ask kids to move to a different platform. That's red flag number one, is if they're asking you to move to an alternative platform to talk, that's a red flag. There should be no reason to have to go to a different platform with a stranger when you're talking about a game. They might propose invitations to make money. Hey, I can give you a job. I can do this. I can do that. So really being wary of gifts, money, any really specific special attention that seems unwarranted is a red flag. We can see love bombing come into play, possibly asking about problems at home and then trying to kind of jump in and be, oh, I know what that's like. I can help you with that. So trying to build that rapport with kids is a way that predators kind of weasel their way in and help build that trust with them and then push it to the next level. Oftentimes once they get them into a private room, that's when the other requests start. So, oh, send me a photo. I'll send you a photo. And that's when it can turn really, really quickly. A teen kid thinks he's talking to a girl that's his age and sends a photo, and then instantly, well, now I'm going to send this to all of your friends unless you send me X. And that's where we're seeing a lot of kiddos really get afraid and scared and feel like they have to send money or they're going to have their lives ruined or this photo is going to be out there. So that's a lot of the cases we're seeing specifically with middle school boys is those sorts of things happening where they're being tricked by a catfish, somebody pretending to be somebody they're not, and then moving to ask them for explicit photos and then in turn threatening them and asking for money or other things to continue. So those are kind of the big red flags. Coaching, a lot of these the AI things can generate photos, news, posts that are wrong. So that it creates what's called hallucinations, where kids see things and think it's real, but it's AI generated. So it really kind of puts a weird fog into reality versus, what's not real. So just being really, really aware of those red flags. If it feels off, it probably is. But the big things are urgency, asking for money, isolation, trying to get them away from other people, and the secrecy. You can't tell anybody or this is going to happen.
Oh gosh. And so you mentioned this is happening more with boys. Is it, I don't want to make generalizations because I have a boy and a girl and they both love video games just the same, but like, where do you think that trend is coming from where it's just more boys are being impacted by this?
That's an interesting question. It's when we partnered with Meta and did a online harm module for students, and the data that we found in that, we worked with a bunch of subject matter experts, was that middle school boys seem to be the highest target, and it's coming from other countries. So there's other countries that this is. I mean, think of a telemarketing entity. That's their job, is they are going in, they're finding boys, they're building rapport, they're making fake profiles that are girls and then getting the extortion gone in that way. So I don't know the real rhyme or reason as to why they're the target. It certainly does happen to girls too, but we're seeing in the data that it's more often than not middle school aged boys right now.
Interesting. Okay, well, having a middle school age boy, I will be talking to him about this. All right. So how can youth use social media features such as privacy settings or reporting tools to protect themselves from, like these online safety concerns and threats?
Yeah. So as I'm sure we all know, on social media, there are so many privacy settings that you can implement. So it's really, a hand-in-hand partnership with parents and kids to make sure that those privacy settings are in place for those kids. Like not having an open profile that anybody can go to, being aware that if you do have an open profile, somebody can go and snag one of your pictures, use an AI generative machine and turn it into something else. And then that can be used against you in some way. So just being really skeptical and aware of what you're putting out there, knowing that anybody can get their hands on it if you don't have those privacy settings in place. So really knowing the privacy settings, knowing the red flags, and just being aware and cautious when things pop up. Go talk to a safe adult, go talk to somebody, make sure you don't feel like you're ever trapped in a situation online. It can get really scary really fast. And that's where we're seeming to lose kids, is they feel the urgency because the perpetrator is making them feel urgent about it. So privacy settings are key. We'll get into it with parents a little bit down, I think, but really making sure we don't accept friend requests from people we don't know, vetting people before we accept requests from them. Even if it seems like, oh, this is a girl that's my age, if you don't know her, you don't know her, and that could be anybody. So really being cautious about those sorts of things.
Right. Great. What advice does Childhelp give to youth who feel pressured to maintain friendships online that might make them feel uncomfortable?
Our biggest thing is walk away. If that red flag is you're starting to get those feelings inside that something is off, you are not connected to this person. You do not owe them anything. You don't have to stay friends with them. You walk away. And then from there, we always encourage, go talk to a safe adult, and then report, block, and go to the appropriate authorities. So if and when something happens, there's a process that we'll go through in just a little bit of what to do. But that is always our biggest thing, is just know you're not trapped. Walk away, go find a safe adult, talk to them, and then go through the process of doing whatever blocking, reporting, screenshots you need to, if you need to go and report such a thing, and knowing that there are resources out there that can mitigate these things when they happen.
Yeah, that's great. Report, block, screenshots.
Yes.
That's my takeaway from that.
Yes.
All right. So I think this one's really important. As a parent, I'm like, stop playing video games, like get out and do something. But I know we're living in a different world, a different time for youth, and how they really do interact with their peers. So how can you, young people, balance time spent on social media friendships with real life interactions and we know that's another thing that's really impacted mental health for young people, the idea of isolation.
Yes, definitely. It's all about balance, right? Just like with AI, it's not going anywhere. It's going to be there. And it's just really knowing that there's a healthy balance between the two. We need to have face-to-face interactions, and we're going to have online interactions. Even as an adult, I struggle with this. So I've had to put time limits on my own phone that, 15 minutes on Instagram or Facebook a day, and that's it. And then it shuts me off. So I think encouraging kids and leading by example as parents, as adults, showing them that it's appropriate and healthy to have an online presence, but you also still need to be able to be in real life. And it's not healthy to only live on a screen, and those social interactions face to face are different than what the social interactions online. And it's a good practice to have both and to have those limits. I think if we kind of nip the doom scrolling before it becomes a habit, then that will help them to then have healthy practices as adults. And I think that's something so many adults struggle with. So if we kind of implement it and help the kiddos right in the beginning, then hopefully that will not turn into an adult problem that a lot of us deal with now.
Right. Oh, yes. I also need to work on that and
Same.
model that for my children as well, right? Like,
Yeah.
I don't need to scroll through my phone before bedtime. I can just read a book or something and then go to bed. I know for my kids, and I would imagine for a lot of other youth too, during COVID, that was how my kids played with or interacted with their peers, right? Through video game playing or even like FaceTiming. But it's so important to get away from behind the screen and actually be face to face to have the same interaction.
Definitely.
Great. Well, thank you. I think those were great questions and great information for youth specifically. So I'd like to transition a little bit and ask you some questions that parents or caregivers and other trusted adults might find beneficial when supporting their youth.
Sure.
So the first question is, what signs should parents, caregivers, other trusted adults look for to identify if their youth is experiencing online safety concerns, specifically through social media friendships.
Yeah, so really seeing change in behavior, right? So your kiddo might be more withdrawn, they might be isolated, you might notice some mood swings that aren't normal for them. Sometimes school issues will come up, so grades will start slipping, friendships will start dwindling, spending more time on devices, being really secretive. So all of those can kind of be red flags that something's awry. We know our kids, right? So we know when something's a little bit different. What we're seeing with these kiddos when these things happen is they are really getting isolated. They're really secretive. They're spending a lot more time in their room with the door closed on the devices, and just demeanor changes, normal behavior changes. So being aware of those things. I mean, they're also teens. They're going through puberty. There's changes that are going on. So really just having the open dialogue and the safe place to have those conversations, I think, is key to seeing when the things are changing and being able to intervene at that point.
Right. Yes. The open communication key, and being able to build up to that. So when they enter into those preteen and teen years, those communication standards and like comfortness is already established.
Right.
How can caregivers, parents, trusted adults initiate conversations with their youth about the risks and benefits of social media on friendships without being intrusive?
Yes. And that's what we know, right? With our teens, especially, they do not like it when we are intrusive. So, we did a training a few months ago where the gal shared this analogy, and it really hit home to me. So I'll share it with y'all. She attributed teaching social media behavior and online behavior to teaching a kid how to drive, right? When our kiddos turn 16, we don't just give them the keys and say, all right, go for it. Good luck. There is a scaffolding up, right? We start maybe even at 13, 14 and start noticing, hey, rules of the road. This is what we do here. Starting the conversations very early. So then once they're 15, ready to go take the permit, they already have pre-exposure to it. And then once they're 16, we've really scaffolded up for years. The conversations have been happening for a long time that when they're 16, we feel confident in giving them the keys and letting them go. Same thing with online presence. Start young, start early, have these conversations, create the safe space, explore together, have times where you look at things together, where you go through apps together. So it's really a safe space from the beginning, and it's something that is a comfortable conversation from the very start of them, even before they're even online. To know that you are there, there's there's common ground and understanding of what's appropriate and what's not, and we're not just sending them out to the web of all things without any sort of guidance before then. So starting the conversations early is key. Teaching them that it's a tool. It's a good thing for connection, for support, for friendships, but there are limitations. There are dangers that we need to be aware of. But really, yeah, I think starting at an early age with those conversations is the most important thing that we can do.
Yeah, that's great. My son mentioned a new app that he learned about called Be Real. And I was like, I've heard of it. I don't know about it. So let's research it together.
Yes.
And he was like, okay.
Yep. My daughter
I give
wanted
him,
that one about a year ago. And so there's an awesome tool, Common Sense Media, and you can go on there and
yeah.
they have pretty much any social media app that you can think of, and they have done the research into it on age appropriateness. So when my daughter wanted Be Real, I looked, and age appropriate was, I think it was like 14 plus, and she was only 12 at the time. So it's like, they've done the research, and this isn't an age appropriate thing, so it's not going to be right now, but we can revisit it in a couple of years.
Yeah.
But same, we were able to go through it together and see why it wasn't appropriate for that age, and go into different things, say like these ones are more appropriate for your age. So yeah,
Oh,
definitely doing the research is key.
yeah, that's great. And thanks for offering that resource to Common Sense Media. Yeah, it's nice to not have to go and do the research and know that there's a trusted resource out there that's done that. Just like
Exactly.
Childhelp, you all do so much research and are beyond a trusted entity. So, okay, my next question: what resources? Oh, this is just perfect. See, what resources does Childhelp offer to parents, caregivers, and other trusted adults to educate themselves on current social media threats affecting our young relationships or youth in their relationships?
Yes. So we just in February of this year, Childhelp, in a partnership with Meta, launched a Staying Safe from Online Harm curriculum. So this curriculum is available for everybody nationally for free. It's online, so you can just go to childhelp.org, Staying Safe from Online Harm. And within that, there's a whole training module for adults. So the first part of it, before you even get to the lessons for kiddos, is a full training for adults that goes into the different online harms that we're seeing, information that parents need to know, so many amazing resources. So I always send people there if they're ever worried or not sure what to do. That was created with, experts across the country in the field that have done this research. So we worked with Thorn, with NCMEC, just amazing people that have been working in the field for a long time. So it's really well informed. And that training alone, I think, can arm parents, caregivers, any adults to really understand the risks that are out there and how to keep their kids safe. So that can be found on our website. Anybody can do the training. And then once the training is complete, there's an actual lesson that you can facilitate to your own kids or in schools or anything like that, that teaches the kiddos how to be safe. So there's kind of a two-pronged approach. The parents can get trained on knowing risks and safety precautions, and then they can then in turn train their kiddos as well.
Great.
Yeah. So in addition to that, within that, we have, like I said, Thorn for Parents is another one. They partnered with us on this. So Thorn for Parents has tons of resources. They have some really good conversation starters on their website. So
Great.
you can kind of filter through, like, I need to talk to my kid about this. And they have just, little starters to get the conversation going. So those are really helpful if you're not sure where or how to start the conversation with your kids. And then you can also, something I do is I'm signed up for updates for any news things that come out about threats that have come up in the news. I'm sure we've all heard about the one this week about the kiddo and ChatGPT that was encouraging him to take his own life. So I get those flag updates anytime those come out, just so I can stay up to date on the most current threats and what's going on.
And that was through Thorn?
Yeah, Thorn for Parents is the one that has tons of resources and information. And then they also have a subpart called No Filter. And that is for kids, and kids can go on there, and it's kind of a risk assessment tool and resources for kids. So Thorn for Parents is the parent side, and then No Filter is the kiddo side.
Wow, great. Thank you. So I think it's probably as parents, one of our worst nightmares, right? But how should parents, caregivers respond if they discover their child is involved in bullying others online? Maybe they are being bullied themselves or are exposed to other online threats, either intentionally or unintentionally, or doing other activities that are harming their peers or themselves.
Yeah, so what we always encourage parents is stay calm and open. When we react with anger or shock or terror, it's going to shut these kids down. So as hard as it is when these things come up, either if your child is doing bullying or if they've been a victim of some sort of online exploitation or sextortion, staying calm and being able to be that, even if we're not feeling calm on the inside, showing that you're calm so they can come to you and feel safe coming to you. So that's always step one. We always encourage parents to ask, can you help me understand what happened? So for example, if your kiddo is bullying or you're seeing that happen, find out what happened. There might be context that we're not aware of. Make it clear that you're supportive and not punishing. You're trying to understand what's going on, what led to this, being able to have that open conversation instead of attacking, punishing, making them feel like, they did something wrong. They're still learning. It's all new to them too. And, as they're exploring, things could happen and they might not really be aware of the effects that it could have on others. So, being a supportive person, maybe it's being misunderstood, maybe it was peer influenced, understanding all those factors and really just helping let them come and tell you what happened without there being anger or punishment fear.
Okay. And that also goes into, what are some of the first steps parents should take if they're suspecting their child's online friendships are exposing them to dangers like grooming and exploitation? Like, what are some of those first steps parents should take? Stay calm. Yes.
Definitely stay calm. Yes. And if you see it happening, like we said, report, screenshots, block, all of those things. So there's a bunch of different entities that you can report to depending on the situation. But yeah, once it comes up, making sure that you get it reported, you get the person blocked, make sure that the threat is gone, and then reporting it to the appropriate agencies, and ensuring that there's help after the fact, if especially if the child is the victim. If the child is the one doing the bullying, then I think it's appropriate for parents to help with making amends and helping them understand, oh, this was maybe an inappropriate thing to say, and now I need to make it right. So helping kids understand that, mistakes happen, right? Things happen. We all make mistakes, but you can make amends for it and learn from it and make sure that it doesn't become a habit. So a two-pronged thing, if, they're the bullier, making sure that they understand how to make it right. And if they're the victim, knowing there are things that we can do to make it better and to make sure that we stay safe.
Great. And so I know we talked about settings on social media for youth, but what are some age-appropriate guidelines? What age-appropriate guidelines does Childhelp recommend for parents, caregivers, in terms of setting limits on social media or using, parental controls to really help their youth foster those like healthy relationships?
Yeah, and the research says 16 is the appropriate age to be on social media. And I know that is definitely not the case for the majority of kids. We have kids that are way younger than that on social media. So my poor daughter, unfortunately, has been told that she can't have it till she's 16 because that's what the research says. And mom works in the field. So, but yeah, taking advantage of those privacy settings. And again, at Common Sense Media, you can go in and you can go to each particular app and they will show you how to set privacy settings for each individual app. So they've already done the work to really be able to inform. So, hey, I need to figure out Instagram settings, Facebook settings, TikTok, whatever. You can go on there and set up those settings appropriately. So really, I think making sure the settings are in place, making sure we understand what we're exposing our kids to before just sending them loose onto the internet, and knowing what the research says and that, it is something they're going to have eventually and then probably for the rest of their lives. If we can keep it, minimal at the younger ages, that's going to then better their chances of having it be an appropriate tool versus something that just infiltrates their life.
Sure. Oh, yes. I remember my daughter was playing Roblox. This was like a couple years back, and she was sitting next to me. We were sitting at the kitchen counter, and she was like, "Mommy, this guy keeps trying to give me a present." And I was like, "What?" And I thought I had set up all the parental controls where she could only be with her friends. I had to approve them, all the things. And here there's this person following her around through the little Roblox village or whatever it was, asking to like engage with her. And I was like, "Hold on, wait a second." And I thought I knew, but I didn't know. And then I learned that there's more to it.
That's what we also encourage, like a monthly checkup. So even, we set it up and we have everything in place and we think, okay, we're good. We have all the privacy settings. Things change so frequently online and in social media apps that it's really important for parents to even set up like, hey, on the first of the month, I'm going to do a monthly check-in on my kids' social media and make sure all the privacy things are still where we want and need them to be. If there's any updates, we do that. So staying on top of it is really important too. And knowing that it's not just one setting done, you can call it a day, keeping up to date on it, checking in, making sure that everything stays where it should.
Oh, that's a great idea. Just the checkups. It's not a one and done. It's continuous conversation, continuous like monitoring in a we care about your safety kind of a way.
Exactly.
All right. So switching over to the community, how can schools and community prevention programs focusing on social media and online safety concerns?
So I mentioned our newest module, the Staying Safe from Online Harm. It's in many schools already. So anybody that currently utilizes our Childhelp Speak Up, Be Safe abuse prevention programs, they automatically have this one as well. And like I said, this is free to the community also. So that's something we really encourage is getting this out there in the schools, teaching not only the adults, but also the kids how to stay safe online, what the threats are. So that's our biggest thing out there right now is just prevention through education, teaching them how to prevent these things from happening, and then also teaching them, if it does happen, what to do to mitigate it. So prevention education is really what Childhelp thrives on. We have our intervention and our treatment for when things do happen, but our hope is that through prevention we can start to minimize the need for the intervention and treatment, as we can try to minimize the risks.
Yeah, that's great. And we know part of prevention is the education role and the education piece. So how does the wider community play in raising awareness about social media threats to youth and youth friendships?
Yeah, so it's an ever-changing field, like we've said. So the wider community really can help by doing the reporting. So if something happens, reporting it so the appropriate authorities can investigate it and get these people off of the internet. So when things like this happen, there are multiple entities that you can go to file these reports. So there's cybertipline.org. That's one place that you can go to report any sort of online online harms, and they will then review it and send it to the appropriate authorities to investigate it. There's also a good resource called Take It Down. That's by NCMEC. So that is up there for if an explicit photo gets put online, if somebody makes a Gen AI photo of you and puts it online, Take It Down can go and just take the code of the photo and get that photo removed from all places on the internet. So that's something we really try to encourage community members, kids, parents to understand. If a photo gets out there and your kids are panicking, we can get it taken down. We just need to know so we can help you and get that. And then there's ICAC, is the Internet Crimes Against Children, is another place that you can go and report such things. So when these things happen, it's really important that anybody that has it happen reports it, so we can try to catch these people and get as many of them, off of the internet and away from our kids as possible.
Yeah, it sounds like it's like a two-way street of awareness, right? Like youth need to be telling those trusted adults, their parents, of like what's happening and what they're seeing and things maybe they're facing. And then like the community and the parents need to react to it and know the resources.
Exactly. Yeah. And sharing stories, right? We all share through learned experience. So if it happens and we're able to talk about it in a healthy way, then others can learn from an experience that maybe we've had and not go through the same thing. And we also tell kids, if talk to your peers about it. If you have a peer that you feel safe talking to, go talk to them about it. And then together you can go to a safe adult and get help. There's always power in numbers. So sometimes it feels a little safer if you have a buddy to go and talk to somebody with. But just knowing, as a whole, it's a community problem. And if we all can kind of try to mitigate it together, make sure we're reporting things when they happen, suspicious behavior, even let the authorities decide if it needs to be investigated or not. Even if it's something that you're not sure, if it's suspicious, report it. And, they can then decide what needs to be done with it from there.
Yeah, that's great advice. And you never know, like maybe they're bringing up awareness on a new trend or something, and they just need people to report it so the authorities know that this is something that's something they need to keep an eye on or something like that.
Exactly.
So I know Childhelp, you all do so, you all are amazing. And everything you all do, when I look at your organization, is like for the heart and the well-being for youth. And can you just talk about some successful community initiatives that Childhelp has done to promote safe and online activities amongst youth and the friendships that youth are building? I know you've already talked about some of the curriculum, but anything else you'd like to share?
Yeah, we like I myself and my colleague, we go out and do trainings for kids in the schools, in the community. We have multiple programs. So we have not only our online harm prevention, but our regular abuse prevention, abuse prevention for athletes, and then human trafficking prevention as well. So again, our initiative is really prevention through education. And we try to get out there in the community and really help inform not only parents, but kids, anybody that's working with kids, as kind of a wraparound to make sure we're all on the same page. We're also in the process of building a program called Connect to Protect Kids, which will be an adult-facing program. So it's really taking every single piece, everybody on the same page to make sure we're all educated on these risks and being able to keep everybody safe as a community. So adults, kids, everybody else is all on the same page together.
Yeah.
When we did the meta module, it was really cool. We were able to use actual students as part of our subject matter experts. So if you get into the module and you start going through it, there's videos in there, and those were informed by our students. So they reviewed them. They had say in the scripts and what was being shared. They were able to tell us, like, kids don't really say that. Kids don't really do that. So that's always really cool to get the kids' perspective of these things, to make sure it's landing appropriate with them too. And we have some kids who were trained on the curriculum to teach younger kids, which is really cool. And that's a great way to learn and to teach, because sometimes it comes better from a peer, right? So we have high schoolers that were trained that went and taught the lessons to younger kids. So it's really just cross ways of educating everybody and really getting the understanding out there.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. I love that model. And also, to add to it, like, what a great way for those like peer educators to serve as leaders in their
Yeah.
communities and amongst, like, younger people. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So what about other adults? How can um, how does Childhelp train volunteers on spotting prevention and spotting and preventing online concerns? Do you all have anything around that, around supporting local leaders and educators to volunteer their time or learn about the education that's important for youth?
Yeah, so our training is online, free to everybody. It's about an hour and a half long, so anybody can go and do that at any time. I really say, like, we have the best of the best inform this, so anything you ever would want to know about online harm, online safety, precautions, all of those things is embedded in this training. So I really just encourage anybody that has kids or works with kids to at least do the training and then see if it seems appropriate to actually do the lesson with kids. But the wealth of information that's found in that training it's monumental, and it's so important for everybody to really be aware of it, not only for our kids but for ourselves. I mean, I was almost a victim of extortion a few months ago, and even after doing all of this and the work that I do, I almost fell into it because it seemed so real to me. So everybody needs to be educated on this, and the best way, I think, is through the training of the Staying Safe from Online Harm module that we have.
Yeah, that's great. So my last question is, we know sometimes things have to be done on like a higher system level. So are there any policy recommendations that Childhelp has for communities to advocate for better social media regulations to protect youth?
So currently there is something called COPA. It's the Children's Online Privacy Protection Act. So one thing community members can do to try to get policy even better is to push to modernize that, right? So that was created. It's great. It still needs some work. So what that Privacy Act does is it requires verifiable parental consent for different social media apps and things like that before allowing them to collect minor data. It expands the protections, it mandates clearer privacy policies, but it does need some work. So pushing to have that modernized and make it even better and evolve as these things evolve is a really good way that the community can help support policy in making these changes. There also still needs to be a push, obviously, with the AI stuff, and to make sure that AI has protections in place and it's not just a free for all, because kids are going to AI and asking it questions and treating it as a trusted or safe adult. And we saw in the news this week that it's not perfected yet. And while there has been some good things done with the AI to put these blocks in place, there are still ways that kids are finding to get around it. So really pushing to make sure that these things have the privacy protections in place to make sure our kids are protected at a policy level.
Yeah. So I know we are running out of time, but I just want to ask, can you just highlight again some of those national resources available to youth and parents, caregivers, if they find themselves in a situation where they maybe have shared too much, like photos, personal information? If you can give us some of those resources again.
Absolutely. So always, first step, take screenshots. Before you block a report, take screenshots so you have the proof. Once you have the screenshots, block, report, and then go to the appropriate reporting agencies. So cybertipline.org is one that you can go to. The ICAC, it's ic3.gov. That is the government place to report any sort of extortion or online exploitation. And then Take It Down by NCMEC is the entity that can go and take photos down that, if a child shared an explicit photo and it got put online, they can go and, we tell kids they can't even see the photo. It is coded and they just will pull the code from the internet. So it helps, them feel safe that not more people are going to see the photo. So cybertipline.org, Take It Down by NCMEC, and the icacic3.gov would be the biggest resources to go through.
Great. And then lastly, tell us Childhelp's website.
Childhelp.org. And specifically for our programs, you can go to childhelp.speakupbesafe.org. And that's where all of our programs live. And that's where you can find the online safety module.
Awesome. Thank you, Kacie. I know you have a very busy schedule and on the eve of a long weekend, but I'm so honored to have you at this conversation today. Such great, important, vital information for youth and parents and communities, especially around online safety. It is a way of our life, and we have to make sure we know how to protect ourselves and others, and especially our youth. So I just want to mention as well that AZYP will be posting and sharing information that Kacie provided today on our website and about Childhelp. So please check that out again. And Kacie, thank you so much for your time. I hope you have a wonderful long weekend.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you. And thank you all for joining us. And before we sign off for the day, I want to share that AZYP will be hosting a one-day high-impact mental health and suicide prevention conference called Empowering Minds on October 21st at the University of Arizona. We are thrilled to offer this vital and free conference to Arizonans to help boost mental health and suicide prevention efforts. We know that we all play a role in supporting mental health and preventing suicide when we have the tools and confidence to support others. So we hope you will join us. It's a free conference. Registration is now open, and you can visit www.azyp.org/EMC for Empowering Minds Conference for more information and to register. And also, while you're on our website, I encourage you to check out our impactful work that we do throughout the state. And if you feel moved, you can always hit that donate button to show your support for our mission. And thank you so much for joining us. And I hope you have a very safe and fun Labor Day weekend. Take care.